Timeless will be changed, and not just changing. So yesterday I put out a video talking about Ancient Tomb and Eldrazi Temple, and finally the highly speculated card Strip Mine, which was not officially spoiled. So I didn't really talk about it too much. And the funny thing is, yesterday I was like, wait a minute, if we're going to have Ancient Tomb in the format without any legacy powered counterspells, why not let Strip Mine be in the format without any restriction? Let's just fight fire with fire was exactly what I said. And well, apparently today, Strip Mine was revealed as a spoiler card, and WotC has confirmed that it will not be restricted. They also noted that they'll watch closely and see what happens, and you know what they mean when they say that when it's not a paper format. Nothing will ever happen in an evergreen format such as Timeless and Historic. So with that out of the way, we don't even have to speculate anymore. So let's talk about some things that are going to change. So like I mentioned in the last video, Show and Tell will probably go through, some changes to adapt the Ancient Tomb in the deck. But now with the Strip Mine also, actually confirmed, things are about to get a little bit spicy because so currently Show and Tell is the best deck in the format right now. But being a 3-color deck, not only are they trying to adapt a colorless land such as Ancient Tomb, which prevents you from casting things like 2-color pip cards such as Mana Drain or Assemble the Team, and even Dig Through Time, but now every other deck will also have access to Strip Mine as well. So although Show and Tell may have gotten stronger as a result of Ancient Tomb, being able to rush out Show and Tell very early, but what if you are just left with a color land and an Ancient Tomb without a Show and Tell combo, and you can't cast anything because of the opponent's Strip Mine blowing up your lands? And there is also the do you even play Mystic Sanctuary anymore when you have so many colorless lands? Because most of the times, if you top deck this without a Brainstorm, it'll just be a tap land due to these colorless lands. So because I think Show and Tell also won some Strip Mines in the deck as well. So where do you draw the line when it comes to deck building? And I have a good feeling that Show and Tell may need to drop a 3rd color to be consistent in Timeless because of opposing Strip Mines, and they might even have to drop the Mystic Sanctuary altogether. The only saving grace potentially being able to run 3 colors right now could be by running 4 copies of Chrome Moxes, but I think it'll be pretty tough. To fit all these in. So we'll have to see how Show and Tell pans out in the near future. And as for energy decks, in the last video, I touched a bit up on the energy because with how fast the format is getting, there's a very good chance that energy may be gone as an archetype in the future sets. So currently, the Mardu energy has been a thing for a long time, and it's the stronger of the two compared to Boros energy due to their early game interactions with things like Thoughtseizes, Juggernaut Peddlers, but I believe this will be changed in the near future as well, adopting a more land destruction approach with, of course, Strip Mines in the deck, and energy might be dropping their 3rd color to not only be more effective versus Strip Mines, but will also be incorporating the 4 copies of Strip Mines in the deck, which means that they're not going to be able to cast things like Juggernaut Peddler, since other people are also going to be running Strip Mines as well. And there's one thing that is saving energy currently with this Strip Mine announcement, and let me tell you, energy has some of the best 1-drops in the game that can snowball. If you can stop your opponent from playing the game with Oscillate Pride and Ragavan on the battlefield with 4 copies of Strip Mines, it could be a very one-sided game. And finally, now for the terror. I think we might have a very, very scary meta coming in with this new archetype in the format, and that is the Eldrazi. So in the last video, I did mention this, that could be a thing, because the deck now has not 1, not 2, but 3 soul lands available for their deck, being able to run things like Rugen's Lab, Eldrazi Temple, Ancient Tomb, all at the same time. So Eldrazi could really be a thing right now, because even against combo, you could go turn 1 Flute, turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer, which could be very deadly. But now that Strip Mine is confirmed, we have a huge problem. We have a Sowing Myco Spawn problem in the format, which I didn't talk about yesterday because Strip Mine wasn't officially confirmed. I didn't want to, talk about something that's could be wrong, but this card is a problem because now you can ramp on turn 1 using something like a rock that can generate 1 green, then go straight into Sowing Micro Spawn on turn 2 to fetch a Strip Mine to blow up opponent's land, which can be pretty devastating. Not to mention, you can do this on turn 3. If you kick this, you can blow up 2 lands with this trick. So not only is Eldrazi going to be ramping crazy fast with 12 copies of Soul Lands, but if you're on the opposing side, there's a good chance, along with Dawn Seers and Sowing Microspawn into Strip Mine, you may not even be able to cast a spell, especially if your deck is very color hungry. And this may actually be the start of dual color decks or monocolor deck meta that aren't also color pip hungry. Because with Strip Mines and Sowing Microspawns running around, you may not even get a chance to cast any double color pip cards. And not only that, we ain't even done yet, right? We ain't even done yet with how powerful this Eldrazi could be. Do you guys know another scary card you can probably play on turn 2 that can find a silver bullet for all of the other combo decks out there, which can also blow up a land? Well, you guessed it, it's Karn. And Eldrazi's can very easily play this card in the deck. And, you know, sometimes Karn is a bit clunky because it costs 4 mana. Well, if you can run this out on turn 2 very consistently, you know, this could become a very problematic deck, which leads me to the next point. Where are the legacy powered counter spells? If I'm going to be totally honest with you, I don't think you can play Mana Drain in the format anymore. It's way too slow. And how are you going to cast a Mana Drain in the format with Strip Mines, especially against Eldrazi? All of their spells are on cast effects, and then you may not even be able to cast, you know, or hold up Mana Drain mana. Esper Tempo has been already on the decline for a bit now. But, you know, if the Eldrazi's take over the meta, they may actually just disappear. But that doesn't mean like the whole like the blue archetype like with the counter spells won't be a thing in the format. I just think the Esper Frog list might not be a thing. Because honestly, the best thing you can probably do if you're playing blue tempo deck is to play Ragavan at the moment. Especially in the Strip Mine format, this is going to help you versus not only the Strip Mine, but, you know, this could also just end the game if you Strip Mine opponent's lands and opponent doesn't have a removal spell. And you can hold up things like Spell Pierces and your own counter spells, things like that. And another option to combat against the Strip Mine format will be the Chrome Moxes. If you can play both the Chrome Mox and Ragavan together, even better. But, you know, if we're going to be doing this, we're now entering an age where, you know, you're going down on cards and resources from your hand using Chrome Mox, but you're also going to be going down on lands as well because everybody's going to be playing Strip Mines. And, you know, you'd be pretty glad if you can cast 2 cards per game. And moving on, now we're going to be talking about monocolored decks because I think monocolored decks will find themselves most comfortable with Strip Mines coming into the format without having to worry about their colors at all. You know, they blow up your lands, no problem, just play on their land and then play your cards. And currently there's 3 monocolored decks that come to mind, which I think gets significantly boosted with these additions to Timeless. And the first most obvious one would be the Red Stompy, you know, everybody's talking about it. With being able to, you know, play things like Ancient Tomb and either the Magus or Blood Moon into play on turn 2, or even turn 1 if you play Chrome Mox as well. But I think it might be a little bit hard considering that you probably want to play Ugin's Lab in the deck as well. So if you play Chrome Mox with all these colorless cards for the Ugin's Lab, it might be a little bit hard. So I think they might just play Ancient Tomb and Chrome Mox, but who knows? We'll see. And the second deck that could become very popular is actually Death and Taxes, with things like Esper Sentinel, Thalia, you know, with Esper Tempo not going to be a thing in the format anymore. Well, this is just my thought. I don't think Esper Tempo is going to be a thing. If that's the case, you might be able to start playing these 1 toughness creatures. And considering that this deck can also play things like White Orchid Phantoms, Strip Mines. So not only are you going to be taxing from Thalia, but you're also going to be taxing from your lands as well. And let's not forget, Crucible could be even a thing as well. Getting back those, you know, juicy Strip Mines from the graveyard, or even Field of Ruins if you play one, you know, over and over again. That could be a very deadly lock. And the final monocolored deck that I think might get pretty popular as well is actually the mono black. Being able to play both Strip Mines and Ancient Tomb means that I think mono black might be pretty popular. And this is a deck that may not even play Necropons. I repeat, there's a very good chance they might even not play Necropons because otherwise, without Dark Ritual, you're just never going to be able to cast Necropons with 8 copies of colorless lands, right? And the card that they're probably going to be playing instead of Necropons is probably One Ring, because it's a colorless card. So even without Dark Ritual, you're going to be able to cast the One Ring very early. But it's also a deck that could play Karn in the deck, because you have access to not only the Ancient Tomb, but you also have access to the Dark Ritual. So I think Mono Black could be very strong as well. Funny enough, I actually think in terms of Prison, Mono Red might be the least effective. Funny enough, even though they're playing Magus plus Blood Moon. But I actually think the Mono White might be a tiny bit stronger when it comes to Prison effects. So to wrap things up, I do think the Timeless is going to be completely changed, which in itself is a very exciting news because we haven't had any shakeup ever since the Modern Horizons 3. We got a little bit of a car injections here and there, but not to this extent, right? And that's all thanks to Strip Mine. Strip Mine just completely changes the fundamentals of the format, which includes deck building. I would have actually preferred Wasteland, honestly, but what can you do? They don't make these bonus sheets for Timeless, it's just for paper. So we just eat it up, even if it's bad. And I think with the Strip Mines and the Ancient Tomb, we're actually going to see more of these colorless cards becoming more popular, such as the One Ring and Karn. And we're also going to see more monocolored decks becoming more popular since they don't have to worry about the colors too much. And funny enough, yesterday I was thinking to myself, man, Show and Tell is still going to be a menace with Ancient Tomb coming. But, with today's official announcement of Strip Mine, I think I'm doing 180 on this. And I'm actually going to say Eldrazi is going to take over Timeless. Eldrazi has literally everything that makes them insanely powerful. 12 copies of Soul Lands, hand disruption through Thought-Knot Seer, and even a chalice to deny, tempo decks, and even an interaction that got one of their cards banned, which is a Sowing Mycospawn, into land destruction. And, sadly, I think the biggest loser here might be Esper Tempo. They're just way too color pip hungry, and even gets punished from running colorless lands, such as Strip Mine. So you'd have to play more lands in the deck just for its effect if you want to run it. And as for the winners, I think the biggest winners when it comes to card quality might be Ragavan and Chrome Mox. Ragavan lets you still cast cards without lands, and also even more effective when you're blowing up lands yourself with Strip Mine. And of course, the Chrome Mox can still let you cast cards without lands. And I see that more decks will be adopting Chrome Moxes as a result.